Welcome and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah. I like to talk about books in my basement. And this is everything that I have managed to read and finish this week, which is actually more than I thought when I came down here and made my stack. So, let's get to it. There are a few things that I read, I do believe, on eArc that I don't remember what they were. I don't know where to start. Okay, so where to start? Let's start with one that I just finished and I didn't love. There we go. I just had dinner. I had roast potatoes and carrots. I made a roast, had some rolls. I'm very full, which means I am now very sleepy. And it's one of those comfort meals, so it's almost like psychologically it makes me more sleepy. So let's see how this goes. We're going to start off talking about The Wicked and the Damned by Rebecca Robinson. Oh no, this was genuinely one of my most anticipated books for this year. I really liked the first book in this series. I thought this was going to be a duology. I genuinely thought it was going to be a duology. But it turns out it's going to be a trilogy. And I have thoughts about that. Because this felt like 75% filler to me. Oh man, I was very frustrated for a lot of this book. Can't talk. At the end of the first book, Vasa is attacked and she is kidnapped and taken back to her home kingdom. And Reed is left down there where they are. I can't remember the name of the kingdoms now. Don't ask me to tell you. And Vasa is kidnapped with her friend. I think her name is Amelie. And throughout the book, the book opens with some scenes of torture. And they're torturing her and all this stuff. And they've somehow cut off her from her magic. So, she's kind of at that point without a way to fight back. And over the course of the book, they're using her friend as incentive. Cooperate. We won't hurt your friend if you cooperate with us. And her mother's advisor / lover is the guy who's in charge of her. And he's going to put her on the throne basically as a figurehead. And she's going to take the throne. And to take the throne, she has to get married. So all the eligible bachelors are showing up to the Empire capital. And here's where I got frustrated. I didn't mind that part of the plot so much. But this book is almost 500 pages. And it's like 410 pages of, it feels like, that's not accurate, but it felt like that, of Vasilisa just whining and complaining and talking about politics. And they introduced Roman, who in the first book, if you have read the first book in this series, Roman was this boy she was in love with as a child and her brother had killed, she believed. Well, he shows back up. And this is right after, at the end of our first book, where she finally came to her feelings with Reed and they confessed and it's great, you're happy, all this good stuff. And then Roman is in this book and I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of Roman is. Was Roman meant to be is she going to cheat on Reed? And if so, I hate that. Was Roman supposed to aggravate the snot out of the reader? Because if so, success. He didn't serve a purpose besides to emphasize how weird, was his name Osric, the guy who is Ozic, this advisor, how weird this advisor's plots are, right? And this advisor's plot doesn't make a whole lot of sense on paper, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but here we are. And I hated Roman, and he's in most of this book, all of this book. So consequently, I didn't have a blast with this. So this is mostly filler. The last 25% is a bit of a bang. We get out with a bunch of big action sequence. We get a lot of fighting. She gets to send somebody to the Shadow Realm. You get a cool pirate lady. There are aspects of this that are good. But I was just so disappointed by the fact that, one, I can't stand Roman. I don't understand why we had him. I don't think he was necessary. I couldn't stand that guy. And two, I genuinely don't think most of this was needed. I think this book, honestly, probably could have been a novella in the middle of two. It just was frustrating to read. It was very frustrating to read. frustration. I gave it a 3.5. Am I going to continue in this series? I don't know. Reed and Vasa are back to Vasa. How do you say? I say it Vasa because Vasilisa is how it sounds in my head. Whatever. Reed and Vasa are together, which is great, thank God. But I'm not sure. Now we've got this prophecy, and we've got these gods, and she's got to go find these items, and I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know. It has a really high rating, so it could just be me. So if you read the first book, which I can never remember the name of, I want to say the freaking Serpent and Wolf. Yeah, Serpent and Wolf. I was right. I get this and the dove one. The serpent, is it the dove and the serpent something? There's another one with a similar type of title that I get mixed up. If you've read The Serpent and the Wolf and you really liked it, and then you read this one and you had thoughts, let me know. I'm just all over the place with it. Clearly. And then I read a nonfiction. I was in the store with my family, and my husband and my daughter were looking at the toys, and I wandered my distracted ass over to the book section and just started reading this, standing there. So my husband bought it for me, and then I finished it. And it's Ghost of Sicily, the true story of the naval intelligence agents who courted the mob to fight Nazis in America and the battlefields of Italy. Okay, so I'm going to open this with saying my history education was ass. Just blanket bad. Okay, bad. Very bad. I learned a lot about World War II that I didn't know. I'm not going to tell you what it is because frankly it's embarrassing, but there was stuff that I thought was made up for like James Bond movies. No, it was a real thing. And this was a real thing. So Operation Underground was a thing that happened evidently. The Navy had a group of agents that they used to contact the mob, and then the mob who were in control of the docks with the fishermen and stuff. If those fishermen saw anything suspicious happening out in the waters, like submarines or people who shouldn't be there, they would report to, their handlers would report to the agents. Very cool. And then when the D-Day operations were underway, these same agents were embedded in with the soldiers going on shore during D-Day, and they had with them contacts, names, and families from the mob that they could get a hold of in Italy and Sicily that would give them safe haven, would give them information, and they were integral to taking the ports. Now, this was super fascinating, and it's written really pacey, so it's a narrative nonfiction, and they note in places why they do the things they do, why they put what they do where. And at the end of this, I'm just going to say, people are all up in arms because the government's been lying to us, and they've never not lied to us. Just, for example, all this stuff happens, and at the end of the novel, for reasons, there is an investigation. I think it was in 1954, so it was some years after the war has ended. There's this investigation, and they're like, oh, did this guy work with the mob during World War II? Because it's not going to look good on him. Yeah, 1954. And this big public trial that's televised, it's on the radio, goes on, and everybody's tuning in, and it comes to the conclusion, oh, it's not real. Like 6 months later, same year, I think it's like a congressional committee or mayoral committee, some sort of official government committee, not publicized, does the same investigation. And they find that yes, it was real. They create a whole big report. It's referenced multiple times. There's actual links and stuff in this. You can type in the URLs. And they file this whole report for another reason, and then they just file it quietly away. And they're like, okay, yeah, this was real. There we go. The government's never told us the truth. Okay? It's just not happened. If you want another example from the beginning of the novel, there were attacks on the East Coast. The German submarines were taking out ships on the East Coast in the harbors, especially around New York and Manhattan. They took out a lot of ships. The government kept telling people, this is not happening, those were just accidents. No, evidently it was German, what are they called, U-boats? So, it was interesting. There are 2 other books by those authors, The Ghosts of Honolulu and The Ghosts of Panama, I think. I might try to read them. I enjoyed that. And like I said, embarrassing amount of things I had to learn from those books. And it's like I read it and I was like, what? And then I would Google it and I was like, excuse me? If I had learned that in high school, maybe I would have gone into history in college. Who knows? It was enlightening. Anyway, the next thing I did read yesteryear. This is getting all kinds of mixed reviews, and I'm going to be on the side of I enjoyed it, but it's not for everybody. 100% not going to be for everybody. I gave it like a 4.2, 4.5. And this is about Natalie, who is a trad wife influencer. And this is it's got like two different timelines. Yeah, two different timelines. We have the timeline of her going to college, meeting her husband, and becoming this influencer, and the timeline of like current day, what it's like for her, and then her kind of getting thrown into the past. And she ends up in this horrifying situation where basically she is in quote unquote yesteryear, in olden days. And it's her living with that. And man, if you want to read about a deeply, deeply unlikable character, deeply unlikable, and you have no problem with that, this would be a fine main character for you to read from. If you're looking for any kind of like sympathetic angle for a character, don't read this. There are moments where like Natalie is dealing with the fact that her husband, who is rich, and her husband's father, they have orchestrated this, mainly her husband's father, to where she has no real power as far as money goes. Her name's not on the deed to her home. She has no access to a lot of the money. When she makes her own money, it goes to him. So like there's things like that. Like, yeah, you feel for her. She's clearly fighting a system that's rigged against her, especially in these traditional style, like conservative families. But on the whole, she is self-absorbed, selfish, arrogant, and just completely the worst kind of human being. And honestly, I'm very certain that that's the kind of person that really takes it to succeed a lot of times in these spaces. So, believable, yes. I finished this, and I sat on the couch, and I closed it, and I set it to the side, and I went, throw it on the floor. I set it to the side, and I was like, and my husband said, good? And I was like, I don't know. And I sat on it for a minute. Just sat there. Let me get it back up. I cannot tell you. The ending is just so interesting. It does a thing. I didn't see it coming. I've seen some people who said that they kind of saw the ending. I'm not entirely sure how, but they said they saw the ending coming. And like, I kind of saw the shape of it, but like, how it happened? No, I didn't see that. So, interesting. I'm very happy. I sprung for the very nice UK. This is the UK edition. This is not the ugly American edition. I went on Blackwell's because they don't do shipping to the US and got this. So if you like this edition, if you're interested in it, you can get this online. Interesting book. It's gonna be one that I revisit, and it's one that I think about a lot. I grew up in conservative Christian spaces, like that was my family. So the attitude and some of the like interactions that you see Natalie have, I've seen almost like word for word. It's very interesting. It was an interesting read for someone who has kind of stepped back from that, and I'm still like dealing with all that stuff, so it's interesting to see her go down a different path. Also, I am very much, I guess you would categorize me as a trad wife. I fit the criteria. I don't have a job, I don't make money, my husband works, I take care of my child, we homeschool, I cook, I clean, that sort of thing. I enjoy that as just a way of living, but I don't make a living off of it, and it's wild seeing how someone does, and it just becomes not actually, like, you don't actually have a family. At one point she talks about not being able to tell her children apart because she doesn't spend enough time with them to know who's who, and it was horrifying. She has, 6 kids, I think, in the book? Oh my god, that part, whoa! Anyway, there's also some politics tied into that because her father-in-law is running for president on a super, super conservative platform. The whole book was fascinating. And if you are interested in it and you can handle a character so deeply unlikable, give it a read. But it is maybe not for the faint of heart, okay? There's a lot of misogyny, homophobia, all of the stuff that might trigger you. There's some birthing stuff happening on there. There's some talk about, like, of course, there's, like, financial, and there's some physical abuse. There's a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything. So be kind to yourself. Next things. I read 2 more volumes of Mob Psycho. I'm still liking this series. Volume 8 was great. In this one, we see him save a girl who is being possessed by the spirit of this medium who turned himself basically into this, like, revenant, revenge-fueled spirit. And we see Mob save her by effectively fighting against this guy and but showing really how he is just a good-hearted person. And I just really like that. Volume 9 was not my favorite. It wasn't as good for me. We followed, is it pronounced Reagan? Reagan? We followed him for most of this, and it's kind of his story. And Mob is taking a step back from the agency for a while, and it's him trying to run this spirit agency without the psychic. And he gets caught up in some, like, not some political, but, like, some social media buzz. Wasn't my favorite portion of the series so far, but I did like it. And this actually has me caught up on everything I own physically, so now I'm going to have to start picking up volumes to read where I can with my book buying ban. So hopefully I'll catch up, but we'll see. So I do like Mob Psycho. Then I have started Emma M. Lyon. This has been going around. I've seen this series on the Kindle shop for years, and I keep thinking I'm going to get to that at some point. So I finally pulled the trigger. I had a book credit on my book buying ban and got the first one. The second one is already up on my desk, so spoilers, I really liked this. And this is very short. It's like 125 pages, and this is The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon by Beth Brower. And these are, as the title says, journal entries from a young woman named Emma M. Lyon. Now, she has just returned to London, and she is coming to the home that she is set to inherit. Now, until her inheritance comes forward when she reaches 18, her uncle has been keeping the house. Her uncle is a spiteful little man. There was an incident. It's not, I don't think, been explained yet, but she gave him a scar. Oh, she threw a teacup at him, I think it was. And he got a little scar under his eyebrow. And as a spiteful little man, he has held that against her for the past few years and has gone out of his way to squander her fortune. The little bit of money that she had set aside that would have kept her going, he has squandered it. The house is still okay, but he squandered her money. So she gets there, she reacquaints herself with home, and then finds this out, and the rest of the series is her going to be keeping a tenant in the home because the home has been, like, kind of divided. So there is, like, an apartment on the back of it, so there's going to be a tenant, and I'm reckoning that there's going to be some, like, maybe some sort of conflict or relationships starting. I'm not sure, but I really love the voice on this character, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. I really want to know more about the pastor. Got Young Hawks, I think is his name, and then there's the body of her old flame is being dug up, and I bet you $5 there's no body, and he's alive somewhere. So, like, what if he's the tenant? Probably not. But what if he's the tenant? I don't know. I've not read past this one. Please don't listen to my wild theories. But that is everything I have physically. Now, let me check. I think there was something I read on eARC that I didn't like. Okay, yes. Oh, yes. I tried to block this out of my memory. I read Metal Slinger. By Rachel Snyder. 1 star. I'm not stupid. That was not a twist. That was poor writing. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? I'm not even going to give you a synopsis. I didn't like this. I'm not continuing with this. I don't recommend this. Moving on. I then read Ladies in Hating. Both of these are super fast reads. I read both of them in an evening. But Ladies in Hating by Alexandra Vosti was not bad. I gave it 3 stars. I've already forgotten a lot of it. It was just forgettable. 2 young women who both write gothic romances. One of them gets mad because she realizes they have a lot of similarities in their texts, so she goes to confront the other. It turns out she knew her as a child, and then they end up kind of crossing paths at a haunted house, manor. relationship happens, mystery happens, there's a dead body, there's a sibling trouble that they have to chase down. You know, it was okay. I don't hate it, nor did I love it, so there's that. But that is everything that I read this week. Yay! That wasn't too bad. 20 minutes is still longer than I wanted it to be. It helps that I refuse to talk about Metal Slinger. I'm not doing it. What I am currently reading. I am almost done. No, it fell and bent. That's fine. I'm almost done with The Halfling's Harvest by S.L. Rowland. This is the next book in the Tales of Adrea. I think it's Adrea. The Tales of Adrea series. This is Seth Rowland. I really like this cozy fantasy series. If you've watched any of my videos recently, you've seen me read the other two in this series. So the first one is Cursed Cocktails. The second one was Sword and Thistle. This is The Halfling's Harvest. And I have the fourth one in my cart on Amazon, which I intend to get as soon as I finish this, because I can already tell you I want to read the next one. And I saw that the fifth one has been announced. I'm very excited. So I'm almost done with that. It's quite delightful. It's very cozy. In fact, I will blame this for the reason why I wanted to cook roast today. It was fantastic food descriptions, and I was like, you know what I want? I want a roast. I want a roast today. So this morning, my daughter and I went out to the store and got the ingredients and made a roast. And then the other thing I am reading, I have started The Passing of the Dragon and Other Stories by Ken Liu. I'm loving this. No surprise. I did not like his new murder mystery. It was like a techno mystery, All That We See or Seem. I didn't like that one earlier this year, when I read it. But I love his short stories. So I am enjoying this. I am on the third or fourth short story. The first one was great. Oh, I liked it. 3 views of a parking lot. I really loved that. That one was fantastic. That was like peak sci-fi Sarah. I got a really cute bookmark today. I hope you can see that. Is it coming through? It's Pokemon. I took my daughter to Five Below and I saw it and I was like, oh no, I have to get that. So anyway, that is what I'm currently reading. The next thing, I think I'm going to pick up Something Wicked by something Ballard. What's their name? Hold on. It's another arc I have from last year. I read that it was a pretty quick one, so I'm going to pick that up next. Fallon Ballard. Something Wicked by Fallon Ballard. Then I have a Z.B. Steele novella I want to read, and I got a few new e-arcs. So I got a John Scalzi, Monsters of Ohio. That one will be a super quick read, so I should probably read that one very soon. I got Big Bad Wolf by Laurie Gilmore. Very excited about that. I love Laurie Gilmore's Dream Harbor series. This is technically like an urban fantasy sort of, I think, fairy tale-esque romance, but I'm going to try it because I like Laurie Gilmore. Sleuthhound, which is, I think, like a Sherlock Holmesian detective nonfiction. I cannot remember. And then I think that's, and the new Tad Williams Splintered Sun, which takes place in Austin Ard 300 years prior to the Dragonbone Chair, that series. Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. Prior to Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And yes, I do intend to continue reading in Austin Ard. It is just that the readathon ended, and then my life took a complete left turn. You can watch my goals video for this year as to why I didn't get to it. There was a huge family tragedy. So I do intend to continue that series. I actually might pick up, I think it's called Brothers of the Wind. I'm probably making that up. It's red with a black snake on it. It's behind my DM screen, which you can see right there. It's behind there. I'll probably pick that up. If not this month, I'll put it on next month's TBR. Yeah, that's everything I'm currently reading. Everything I'm going to read. A few new arcs I got. And I think that is everything for me today. Let me know if you've read anything I talked about. Give me all your thoughts and opinions down below. And I will talk to you guys again, hopefully next week. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Bye.